Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to the week recap show on this lovely Friday afternoon. I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you are doing well, particularly well. This week I'm going to be talking about just cancel culture and just kind of my take on it. I hope I'm going to take a side or take a different idea or thought process that's different than what you've heard before, because I've heard the arguments of cancel culture. That's such a my speech impediment because of cancel culture. Anytime, okay. So I've heard like the arguments for cancel culture, and I've heard the arguments for it and against it, and how it's an awkward conversation and it needs nuance and it can't be just this blatant yes or no thing. And I totally understand that. And because we're in this new dawn, in this new age of the internet, and it's still relatively new, despite, younger generations is being like, well, this has been around forever, right? I've always had the internet, so haven't you? No. Some of us old farts didn't grow up with the internet and came later in our life and we're like, what is this? So this idea of speech in the internet is crucial. And with Gina Carino being fired on Disney, and then that country singer saying the N-word when he was hammered out of his mind, his neighbor filmed him, etc. These are new hot things, and I'm just thinking J.K. Rowling. I'm thinking about that girl, that blonde woman from Fox News and went to NBC, and then she had her own show, and I'm blanking. Yes, there's been a lot of people that have been canceled, so it's not like this one-off thing where people are just like, yeah, well, maybe she deserved it, It's a culture. And that's why they call it a cancel culture, because there's a force behind it. There's an idea. There's people who enjoy doing it. There's a kind of like almost a sadistic kind of enjoyment about it, of just like ruining someone's life. And I think that says a lot about who we are as people in today's culture. And it makes me sad is that we are quicker to destroy someone than we are to build them up. We are quicker to say negative things about something than be positive about something. We are quicker to just hurt people because it feels better. It's a quicker fix. It's harder to be nice to people. It's harder to serve another person. Just like I'm just thinking of that one stupid LA Times. I'm sorry, I said stupid. That stupid LA Times reporter who was talking about the MAGA supporters that, snow cleared her driveway of snow, and she didn't know what to do because her neighbors were Trump supporters, and she didn't know how to act. Like, really? You don't know how to just open the door and say thank you, or just maybe do something nice back to them? So I'm not going to talk about the double standard of cancel culture. There's an obvious double standard, and it's unbelievable. And you and I both see it, except for if you're a liberal, you somehow don't see it. If you know you're in a ways you're in a cult. If you see something and that's clear as day, and you go, yeah, I'm not going to believe that. But there's a double standard, just like with that Gina Carino getting fired for the concentration camp reference, and yet her co-star did the same exact thing, if not worse, and he is fine. She had a thing coming. I mean, she was very outspoken about being a Trump supporter, and so there was just a buildup. And it's sad that that's even the case. People should just be allowed to say whatever they want, and if you are on the job and you act like a decent human being and you're nice to people and you're not malicious, she wasn't on Twitter just saying these people are animals or these people need to be beat up or like threatening people, or she was just saying, hey, rounding at people because of their political beliefs is very similar to what the Nazis did in like getting neighbors to tell on themselves and stuff like that. That is not aggressive. That is not the most obnoxious reference of like similar concentration camp reference, as opposed to her co-star that referenced the concentration camp, saying the migrant children at our border in cages is the same thing as concentration camp. One, these kids are being fed, and then they're being helped, because a lot of times these kids are being brought over by strangers, or and kids are used as a way to get across the border, and there's it's not like this cut dry thing where it's like, just let these kids be free. Like, some of these kids don't even have parents. So there's things that need to happen. I'm drinking tea. That's my kind of Friday night. I'm going crazy. Anyways, Disney firing Gina Carino, and the double standard of the Chinese Mulan, thinking the Xi Jinping province, where there's Uyghur Muslims in concentration camps who have been reported of being raped, abused, and sterilized, and the women were sterilized. And yet, all my liberal friends don't see any issue with that. Really? You are more mad about somebody wearing a MAGA hat than you are about people in concentration camps. The irony is unbelievable, and if you don't see it, you are losing your mind. Because it's hard for me as a human being, and what I like to think is a logical thinker, sees that and goes, this is an issue, and then people go, is it though? I mean, we don't know what's really going on, and I don't really want to look into it. It's kind of like the Germans who, when don't do a Nazi reference. You know, there's just a lot of references and easy metaphor of people just shutting down information or not wanting to learn about things because they know it's bad and because they know it'll change their life. It's kind of like the farming industry where I have people that I know that want to pretend like how those animals are treated is totally fine. But they don't want to watch any of those films or documentaries of how a lot of those animals are treated. And they just pretend like, well, if I don't watch it, it won't hurt me. And so the parallel of that and people in Germany during World War II who are just like, I didn't know this was going on. Like, really? You're just going to turn your back? You're not going to care? You're gonna fight about this issue instead? There's just an incredible double standard, and it's boring to talk about. Because the people that are fighting for people like Gina Carino to be fired don't care about a standard. They don't have the standard. They don't have a moral conscience. They don't care about being kind. They don't care about being honest and wanting to have dialogue and wanting to grow as a human being. They just have an idea and a message that they want you to believe. They want you to disagree with. And if you don't agree with it, then you need to be taken out. I mean, even those people on MSNBC after those Capitol riots were like, maybe some of these people need to be put in, programs to, be reformed, re-educated, and like programs. And they were just allowed to say things like this on NBC. And the parallel of that and what's going on in China is, where's the line? There isn't one, unless you're on the other side, like me. I am okay with anyone speaking their mind, as long as and I think it's up to the employer to decide what that is. But as far as and I encourage free speech. I encourage free thinking. When Colin Kaepernick took a knee, I did not freak out like everyone else. I thought it was a stupid way to get that message across, but it started a conversation for him, and he thought it was a good idea. Was he fired or let go because of it? I think that's a false narrative. I don't think he was that great of a quarterback. I watched the NFL maybe too much, and I'm heavily involved in fantasy football. His career started to take a downturn after the Super Bowl, and he started to get figured out, and his throws weren't that good. And then the NFL went out of their way. They went and scheduled workouts with him. He decided not to show up, maybe because he knows that he is overrated and he's all about the show. And so it felt like more of a show with him. And then he was signed on Nike, and then he was put on all these boards. He's put on the HBO's diversity board. I mean, he was a multimillionaire. He's doing fine. And the NFL is known for, not the National Football League, but not for long. People that are in the NFL, they don't last long. It's just part of the game. So, and this is what it comes down to me. And the argument I have not heard from other people as far as cancel culture goes. And my gripe with cancel culture is not necessarily with employees firing people. I think that's okay if you're in the field and you're getting fired. If you're a Christian and you're fired from a job because you like to pray in the mornings or you like talking about Jesus with people, I think that is terrible and I think that's horrible. But I also think that that's not a company you should work for, and maybe you should tell other people, hey, this company is against me because of my beliefs, and then people will know, hey, I also have those beliefs, and I don't want to be a part of that, and I don't want to give them my money anymore. And so then you have a choice. As I think it's stupid to fire somebody over their beliefs, but I am also not hiring people. And so, and I understand there's like a weird conversation of like, how should that be about? Because I can understand being an employee working for a store, and then imagine I worked for Whole Foods and I was in there every day and I was just posting on Twitter all this crazy things of like how Whole Foods is this terrible place and all the employees are this and this and it's just constant lies. That's a fireable offense. I get it. I'm not like, wow, that's canceled. You're just firing me because of my beliefs because I hate you. But here's my biggest gripe is the angry mob mentality and how it's encouraged in cancel culture is that we have, imagine this is real, even though it is. Imagine one frame of mindset, one frame of thought is in power politically, all right? And then imagine that same mindset is in all major corporations, and I'm talking major. And imagine that same mindset is also in charge of major corporations who are in charge of information, the way people consume information, the way people learn about the world, the way people understand what's going on in society. Imagine all those people are of the same mindset. And imagine those people being angry at those who have a different mindset. Because why? Because that mindset is very controversial and it's scary and it doesn't allow their thinking, because maybe the way they think isn't that strong of an argument, or maybe because they're lying, or maybe because they're of false promises or false ideologies or any kind of thought process like that. Imagine that they just shut down the other side of the argument. So then you have these children who grow up in a society that they only hear one frame of thought. And so then they only understand one frame of thought. And so they're never taught how to think. They're never taught how to question. They're never taught how to grow. They're only taught, here's the facts. And if you don't believe them, you're a conspiracy theorist. Imagine. So imagine one frame of thought in all power politically, one frame of thought, all power in corporate, the powerful corporate brands. I don't know, maybe it's on Twitter, Facebook. Imagine the frame of thought. Imagine they're so powerful that they shut you down as an individual and don't allow you to make a means for yourself in today's culture. Just imagine. And now imagine they encourage my neighbors, your neighbors, everyone around you to keep an eye out for you, to make sure you fall in line, to make sure you believe what we believe. And if you don't believe what we believe, we're going to tell on you. And not only that, we're going to tell everyone in power above us. And then they're going to come down on you. And then they're going to get rid of you. And then they're going to erase you. And then when you try to apply for other jobs, they're going to call that job and say, hey, do not hire this person because this person is an evil Nazi. This person believes blah, 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 even if it's true or not. My problem is with the angry mob mentality that's encouraged instead of rebuked. Now imagine Imagine it's like kids. Imagine you're in a playground full of kids, and there's one kid who thinks this ball is red, and everyone says, no, it's maroon. And then they start making fun of this kid, start, pushing this kid a little bit. And then they start telling the teacher lies about what's going on with this kid and saying this kid is saying racist things, this kid's saying terrible things. And instead of that kid having a voice, and the teacher doesn't even allow the kid to speak or maybe even apologize for things, she just kicks him out of the classroom. Imagine she puts him in a closet. Imagine she kicks him out of the school forever. That's what's going on. We've in a culture that encourages this tattletale, lying, exaggerating of the truth like mentality, and that it just sees red and it goes deep immediately. And that's my problem with that. Imagine all these people in power, this corp capitalists, imagine they all hated one sector group of people. I'm not saying Trump supporters, too obvious a comparison. Imagine they all hated gay people. And then they didn't allow them to come to their restaurants, didn't hire them, maybe your pushback say, well, it used to be like that. Yeah, and that was wrong. I wasn't part of that, okay? I don't need to apologize for that. I never did. I never looked at somebody and said, hey, you look different to me. I don't like you for that reason. I'm not going to apologize for that because I've never been like that. I've just been like, hey, you treated me like a jerk. I don't like you anymore. That's literally the only reason I haven't liked somebody. But imagine it was just a different thought process or a different political belief. Imagine everybody in power was Christian, and then they took all these Jews. No, it's too obvious. Let's imagine they took all these Muslims or Buddhists. Imagine they took Buddhists and they started making fun of them. They started allowing them out. They started spreading lies about them. Started telling their employee not to hire you because of this, this, and this. What would you call that? And instead of, news media, politicians on both sides of the aisle, president, political actors, God, I hate those people. Instead of them shouting out, hey, allow these people to say whatever they want, and if they're wrong, engage in dialogue. That should be the encouragement, is say whatever you want, and if it's wrong, if it's racist, you need to be allowed to be in dialogue. And so maybe it's a learning opportunity. But there's also what you need to know is that there's just people out in the world who are just rude, or just wrong, and just a-holes. There's people out there who are just want to watch the world burn. And what did we do with those people? We encourage them via Twitter, and we tell them, hey, find us the people we need to cancel, and we will go after them. There is nothing good that can happen from canceling someone. And that's my biggest gripe with it. There's nothing good. It doesn't teach them a lesson. It doesn't help their mental health. It doesn't help them grow as an individual. It doesn't encourage those who maybe if they're wrong to have an encouragement and dialogue. It doesn't encourage. There's nothing good. I don't like it. For both sides of the aisle. I could care less. Antifa, you could say whatever you want. I've had people and Antifa write me messages of how we're gonna take all of you out and stuff like that. And I'm not even a fringe supporter of something. So, I think the only obvious line is threatening people. That's not okay, but that's also a law. It's assault, I'm tired of talking about the double standard for this because no one cares about the double standard. I think that it just what we need to talk about is what the good that comes from it. and how to go about making wrongs right, and also encouraging dialogue. I know teachers and people in education who are okay with this and encourage this. And nobody has commented on my thread, because I have teachers that listen to my show and are commented on my stuff that I'm not talking to you. If you think I'm talking to you, I'm not. I'm just saying that there's people in education who don't think that kids should learn both sides of an argument and shouldn't learn how to deal with people who disagree with you. Instead, we're in a culture where we're encouraged to point those people who are different than us and go after them and ruin their life, and because they deserve it, and good for you for standing up. It's kind of like the people that like go and they're like, yeah, I just told my racist grandpa I just told my racist grandpa to shove it online. It's like, we've encouraged a culture to loud out their own family members. And yeah, it's wrong that your grandpa's a racist, but maybe have a conversation with him. Maybe say, this isn't right, and show him how it's not right. And then allow him to either continue to be a jerk or to learn. I mean, and then there's more hope for change, and there's more hope for good to come from it than, lauding these people out on the rooftop. I mean, we've all said stupid stuff. I've said stupid stuff when I was in middle school. I was just telling somebody today, thank God I didn't have Twitter when I was in high school and middle school. I don't know what I would have said. These people that are trying to police kids have never worked with kids before. When you tell a kid, don't do this, don't say this word, all they want to do is do that thing and say that word. It doesn't matter what the word is. They just want to say it because they're like, oh, you gonna tell me what to do? You can't tell me what to do. I can say whatever I want. I'm my own person. Blah! And then those people, and then you dig up those tweets later in life and say, hey, Derek, remember when you said this when you were 12 years old? Yeah, we found it. And your life is over now. It's like that girl whose friend downloaded her saying the N-word in a rap when she was rapping in a rap song. And now she got kicked out of college. Like another cancel culture thing. Really? Singing lyrics to a song written by someone is an offense that should ruin your life over? Did she look at a black person and then yell the N-word at them and make them feel small and weak and belittled? That's racist. Is she just singing a rap song and just singing the lyrics? We're in a culture who encourages a mob, encourages tattletaling, because it's like the Chinese government. You need to get these people in line, and you need to have them have the same ideologies as us so we can progress in this fashion. We need the elites to get more elite, and then the weak, poor people to get poorer. We only need two classes, the elites and serfs. So we have the angry mob, and then we also don't care about context anymore. No one cares about context. If you say a word despite the context of the situation, your life should be ruined forever. And does it go for both ways? No. It only goes if you look this way. It's just exhausting. The twirling around about a nature of society. I'm just going to encourage you as the listener. Don't follow people down the angry mob. Don't be like, hey, well, if you did it, I'm going to do it back to you. It's just not worth it. There's no peace. There's no hope. There's no encouragement that comes from it. I know it feels good to do it. It's just not. It doesn't produce anything good. Let the people who look stupid continue to look stupid. It's kind of like when you make fun of somebody, I've worked with kids for a long time, and kids will come up to me and be like, hey, this person's making fun of me. And then you just got to teach them in that moment how to deal with it. You can either, if it's too much, you tell on somebody, but you also like, hey, Eric, hey, Derek, you're stupid. And I'm like, yeah, I am stupid. And then it usually ends. Sometimes it doesn't. That's when you need help. But instead, we've created a mob of people. And instead of saying, hey, maybe don't do that, maybe Gina Carino should have a conversation with her employer in her and just let it be that. Instead, obviously she wasn't fired for, misconduct on the job, because then that would be understandable. She was fired because, people continually asked for her resignation. And then this mob came out and put it all online, and people put so much weight in what is said online and this mob online that they go, you know what? It's time to let you go because you're just not a good PR move for us. I wish more companies would stand up to these people and say, I don't care. I know who this person is. And even if they say something bad, I know their heart and who they are behind it. If I was an employer and I hired somebody and they said, let's just say it was the other way around. Let's say I was a Trump supporter and they said things about Biden and they said how great he was and how he's going to make the country great again and all this stuff. I'm not going to fire that person, even if I disagree with them. If they said that the migrants are in cages and compared it to Nazi concentration camp, like Gina's co-star did and still has a job, I might have a conversation and say, hey, maybe take that down. Or maybe like, this isn't good, but if a bunch of people if I was okay with it and said, you know what you do online is your thing, but how you act on the job is another, and you act fine, so I'm okay with that. If an angry mob came out and said this person is terrible, I would stand behind my employer. And people are so scared of cancel culture and so scared of a mob that they just bend the knee and they just allow them to say and do whatever they want. And that's the problem. It's no use even having a conversation about it, and because it's a double standard. You can't have logical conversations with people who don't have a moral standard or like an idea or a foundation of truth, or because you're just arguing nonsense. You're arguing logical truths with somebody who's arguing nonsense. And so you'll never see eye to eye because there's nothing agreeable. So I don't know where this is going, but I just feel like there's so much on my chest about this. And again, should Twitter be a public utility? I'm starting to lean more towards yes. I think that, or there just should be a public utility like Twitter where, the First Amendment is safeguarded. I don't think there's anything such thing as hate speech. I think there's a-holes out there and there's jerks. And I think the way we've handled people online only encourages negative behavior and only encourages hateful speech instead of encouraging thoughtful, engaging conversations like what the internet used to be. Yeah. And yeah, if you threaten somebody online, you should go to jail.